Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Without Rush, the podcast where you can improve your English through slow, clear, and natural conversations. I'm Daniel. Today, Emma and I are going to talk about a question that many people ask. How can I change my life? Maybe you want to improve your English. Maybe you want to become healthier. Maybe you want to find a better job, build more confidence, or create better habits. The problem is that change can feel difficult. Sometimes we know what we want, but we do not know where to begin. Other times, we begin with a lot of energy, but after a few days, we stop. During this episode, we are going to talk about why people feel stuck, why small actions matter, and how to begin before you feel completely ready.
And while you listen, pay attention to the expressions we use. You will hear useful English for talking about goals, habits, challenges, confidence, and personal growth. At the end, we will also review some important vocabulary and give you a short speaking challenge. You do not need to understand every word immediately. Listen carefully, enjoy the conversation, and repeat any sentence that you find useful. Let's begin. Daniel, have you ever felt that you wanted to change something in your life, but you kept doing the same things every day? I think most people experience this at some point. They may want a new routine, a healthier lifestyle, or better English. They think about the change. They imagine a different future, but they do not take action. One common reason is fear. People think, what if I try and fail? What if other people laugh at me? What if I discover that I'm not good enough? Because of these thoughts, they decide that doing nothing feels safer. Another reason is that the goal feels too big. For example, someone says, I want to speak English fluently. That is a great goal, but it is also very broad. Where should the person begin? Should they study vocabulary? Should they practice pronunciation? Should they listen to podcasts? When a goal is too big and unclear, it can feel overwhelming.
I completely agree. Another problem is waiting for the perfect moment. People say, I'll start next Monday. I'll begin when I have more free time. I'll speak English when my grammar is better. But the perfect moment normally does not appear. There will always be work, responsibilities, distractions, and difficult days. I experienced this when I wanted to start exercising regularly. I believed I needed a complete plan, special equipment, and 1 free hour every day. Because I did not have all those things, I kept postponing it. One day, I decided to stop waiting. I put on comfortable clothes and walked for 15 minutes. It was not an impressive workout, but it was real. That small action was more useful than weeks of planning. Sometimes we stay stuck because we believe the first step needs to be big, but the first step only needs to move us forward. People often imagine life change as one dramatic moment. They think they need to wake up one morning with a completely different personality. But real change is usually quieter. It begins with small choices that we repeat. Imagine that you want to improve your English. You do not need to study for 3 hours on your first day. You can begin with 10 minutes. You can listen to part of a podcast. You can learn 3 useful expressions. You can describe your day out loud. You can answer 1 question in English. These actions may feel small, but they help you create a habit. And once the habit becomes part of your routine, continuing becomes easier. This is important because motivation changes. Some days you feel excited. Other days you feel tired. A simple habit can continue even when motivation is low.
That reminds me of a time when I wanted to read more books. At first, I made an ambitious plan. I told myself, I'm going to read 50 pages every day. It sounded great, but after a busy day, 50 pages felt impossible. I missed one day, then I missed another. Soon, I stopped completely. Later, I changed the rule. My new goal was to read only 5 pages before bed. 5 pages felt easy. Most nights I read more than 5, but I only needed to complete the small promise. That changed everything. The smaller goal helped me become consistent, and consistency is often more powerful than intensity. You do not need to do something perfectly for 1 week. It is better to do something useful regularly for many weeks. So, think about one goal you have. Can you make the first step smaller? Instead of, I will transform my life, try, I will improve one part of my morning routine. Instead of, I will become fluent, try, I will practice speaking for 5 minutes today. Actions are important, but the way we speak to ourselves also matters. Many people use very negative language inside their own minds. They say, I'm terrible at English. I never finish anything. I'm too old to change. I always make mistakes. When you repeat these ideas, you begin to treat them like facts. But they are not always facts. Sometimes they are only descriptions of your current situation. There's a big difference between saying, I can't speak English confidently yet. The word yet changes the meaning. It shows that the situation can improve. You are not ignoring the difficulty. You are simply leaving space for progress.
That is such an important point. Positive thinking does not mean pretending that everything is easy. It means talking to yourself in a fair and useful way. For example, imagine that you make a mistake during a conversation. You can say, that was terrible. I should stop speaking. Or you can say, I made a mistake, but I communicated my idea. Next time, I'll try again. The second response helps you continue. I also think it is helpful to notice progress that normally goes unnoticed. Maybe 6 months ago, you could not understand a simple podcast. Now, you understand part of this conversation. Maybe you still need subtitles. That is okay. You are improving. Progress is not always dramatic. Sometimes it appears as one new sentence, one easier conversation, or one moment when you understand something without translating. Those moments are evidence that your effort is working. One of the biggest lessons I have learned is that confidence often comes after action. Many people think they need confidence before they begin. But normally, we become confident because we begin. Think about speaking English. At first, your voice may feel strange. You may speak slowly. You may forget words. But every real conversation gives you experience. After several conversations, the situation becomes more familiar. You realize that mistakes are uncomfortable, but they are not dangerous. You understand that communication does not require perfection. This is why waiting until you feel ready can be a trap. You may never feel 100% ready. Sometimes you need to begin while you still feel nervous.
I remember the first time I gave a presentation in front of a group. I prepared for days, but I still felt nervous. My hands were cold. My heart was beating quickly. For a moment, I wanted to cancel everything. But I started speaking. The first minute was difficult. After that, I became calmer. The presentation was not perfect, but I finished it. Later, I realized something important. Being nervous did not mean that I was incapable. It only meant that the situation was new and important to me. Since then, I have tried to stop treating nervousness as a sign to escape. Sometimes it is simply a sign that I am growing. So think about something you have been postponing. Maybe you want to apply for a new opportunity. Maybe you want to send an important message. Maybe you want to begin speaking English with another person. What is the smallest action you could take today? You do not need to complete the entire journey. You only need to begin. Personal effort matters, but our environment also influences our behavior. It is difficult to focus when your phone is constantly showing notifications. It is difficult to practice English when all your free time is automatically filled with random content. and it is difficult to stay positive when every conversation around you is negative. This does not mean that you need to remove every difficult person from your life, but you can choose more carefully what you consume and where you place your attention. For example, you can follow creators who inspire you. You can join a learning community. You can place an English book on your desk. You can prepare a podcast before leaving home. You can keep your phone away while you study. These small changes make the good action easier.
I like to think of the environment as a silent guide. It is always pushing us in a direction. If your phone is beside you, opening social media is easy. If your notebook is open on the table, studying becomes easier. If you spend time with people who practice, create, and learn, their behavior can encourage you. The opposite is also true. If the people around you constantly say that change is impossible, you may begin to believe them. That is why we need to protect our goals. Not everyone needs to understand your plan, but you should try to create a space where your plan has a chance to grow. Sometimes a small environmental change is more effective than trying to use more willpower. Let's review some useful words and expressions from today's conversation. The first expression is feel stuck. To feel stuck means that you are not progressing and do not know how to move forward. Example, I feel stuck in the same routine.
The next word is overwhelming. Something overwhelming feels too difficult, too large, or too stressful. Example, trying to learn everything at once can feel overwhelming.
The third word is postpone. To postpone something means to delay it and do it later. Example, I keep postponing my English practice.
The next word is consistent. Being consistent means continuing to do something regularly. Example, she is consistent with her daily English practice.
Another useful expression is move forward. To move forward means to make progress. Example, I made a mistake, but I'm ready to move forward.
And the final expression is step outside your comfort zone. This means doing something new or difficult that makes you feel slightly uncomfortable. Example, speaking English with new people helps me step outside my comfort zone.
Today we learned that changing your life does not require one perfect moment. Real change often begins with one small action. You may still feel afraid. You may not have the perfect plan. You may make mistakes, but you can still move forward.
Remember, make the goals smaller. Speak to yourself with patience. Start before you feel completely ready. And create an environment that supports the person you want to become. You do not need to change everything today. Choose one thing, take one small step, and repeat it tomorrow.
Tell us in the comments, what is one small change you are going to make? Your answer may inspire another English learner. Emma, thank you for spending this time with us. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep improving one step at a time. This was English Without Rush. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching and practicing English with us today. We hope this episode helped you learn something useful and feel more confident. Please subscribe to English Without Rush and turn on the notifications so you don't miss our next podcast episode. Keep listening, keep speaking, and keep improving one step at a time. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.